Martin O'Neill has broken his silence on Celtic's Champions League qualifying challenge this summer, and what he had to say will concern supporters. Sunderland have also now submitted a formal inquiry for one of Celtic's key players. A transfer target has broken his silence on his own future, and the Maloney and Fotheringham situation is still dragging on with no resolution in sight. Let's get into it. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Martin O'Neill has spoken openly about his concerns regarding Celtic's Champions League qualifying campaign this summer, and it is a warning that supporters would do well to take seriously. O'Neill knows better than most what these ties involve. He was in charge when Celtic navigated European qualifying campaigns during his first spell at the club in the early 2000s, and the pressures have not changed. Get through, and the whole season is transformed. Fail, and the consequences are felt right through to the summer window and beyond. The specific problem O'Neill has highlighted is a timing issue. Celtic will have started the domestic season when the qualifying tie comes around towards the end of August, but the opponents they are likely to face will have had a longer run of pre-season games, more sharpness in their legs, and a clearer picture of how their squad works. Speaking to Track Radio, O'Neill explained it this way. He said, "Absolutely, you've nailed it. It's exactly right. We get a two-legged qualification game come the end, or towards the end of August time. We will have started our season, we will be into it by a couple of matches, but the teams that we are likely to face will have had summer times and games in front of us. And it's always, I even felt this going back 20 odd years ago when I was in charge at Celtic, that teams you felt you could definitely beat in, let's say, early November, you would find really difficult to beat in, let's say, the second or third week in August because of the match advantages they would have over you. So yeah, it's fraught with difficulty in that sense. Celtic failed last year to make it out, and probably in two games that they would have been expected to go through. So yeah, I would be concerned, but as you say, excited at the same time that there's an opportunity for that. That is about as honest an assessment as you will get from a manager. He is not catastrophizing, but he is not pretending the path is straightforward either. Last season, Celtic went out of the Champions League at the qualifying stage in games they were expected to win. O'Neill knows the squad needs to be ready far earlier than it has been in previous summers. The clock is already ticking. Now for the main story, as Sunderland have submitted a formal inquiry for Arne Engels, making them the latest club to join a growing queue of sides monitoring the Belgian midfielder ahead of the transfer window opening on Monday. The Sunderland Echo reported the inquiry this week, with the Premier League side looking to establish exactly what it would take to prize Engels away from Celtic Park this summer. The list of clubs linked with him is extraordinary for a 22-year-old. Nottingham Forest, who had 3 separate bids rejected in January with the final offer reaching around £25 million, remain interested. Fulham are monitoring the situation. In Europe, Napoli, AC Milan, Atalanta, Roma, Lazio and RB Leipzig have all been connected to him at various points in recent months. Now Sunderland join that queue. The key detail from January is that Celtic held firm through all 3 Forest bids while a title race was still live. That position of strength has not weakened. If anything, the fact that Engels went on to be part of a double-winning squad makes the argument for selling even harder to justify from the club's perspective. Engels is 22 years old, Belgian international, physically powerful, and able to play in multiple midfield roles. He still has 2 years remaining on his contract. Celtic are under no pressure to do any business. But with this volume of interest and with the window opening on Monday, the bids are coming. The question is whether any club is willing to go significantly beyond the £25 million figure that Forest already had rejected. If that number keeps rising, it will become a very different conversation. In other news, Fairs Gedgemies has broken his silence on his future after a period of quiet following Celtic's reported interest in the Algerian winger during the January transfer window. Celtic tried to sign Gedgemies in January and could not get the deal done. Since then, the 22-year-old Frosinone winger has been preparing for a major summer with Algeria at the World Cup, and his comments now make it clear that a transfer decision is the last thing on his mind until that campaign is finished. Speaking to La Gazzetta dello Sport, Gedgemis said, "It's too early to talk about the future. For now, my focus is on the World Cup. We need to prepare well. Then we'll see at the right time." Algeria begin their World Cup campaign against Argentina on Wednesday, before facing Jordan on the 23rd of June and Austria on the 28th of June in Group J. Those are high-profile fixtures for a young winger who needs to perform on the biggest stage. A strong tournament will only drive up interest in him from clubs across Europe. From Celtic's point of view, the timing means patience is required. The transfer window opens Monday, but players who are still in World Cup competition do not typically make decisions until after their tournament ends. If Gedgemis and Algeria go deep into the competition, it could be July or even later before his situation becomes clearer. What Celtic's interest in January showed is that O'Neill wants pace, directness, and creativity in the wide areas. With Luis Palma gone and the attacking positions still to be resolved, Gedgemis remains a name worth keeping a very close eye on. In other news, the uncertainty surrounding Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham is continuing to grow, with no announcement on their futures still coming from Celtic, despite O'Neill being confirmed as permanent manager. Both men were central to everything Celtic achieved during the run-in. Maloney in particular was described by journalist Mark Guidi as carrying around 7 different jobs throughout the second half of the season, doing the work of multiple people and never once publicly complaining about it. Fotheringham answered the call twice, both times at short notice, and performed every task put in front of him. O'Neill was confirmed on a 1-year deal with the option of a further year, and the assumption from supporters was that the backroom announcement would quickly follow. It has not. Reports emerged this week that contract talks between the club and both men have stalled. The specific detail that caused real anger among supporters was a suggestion that Celtic had offered them lower wages than what they were already receiving. After delivering a domestic double, the idea that the club's response was to offer a pay cut has understandably gone down very badly. The silence from the club on this has been deafening. The transfer window opens in 3 days. Champions League qualifiers are weeks away. O'Neill will need to know who is on his coaching staff before pre-season begins, and right now that question remains unanswered. Nobody wants to see Maloney or Fotheringham forced out the door over a wage dispute after what they contributed last season. The board have made their mistakes publicly acknowledged. This would be another one. Lastly, the most recent and biggest article trending across Celtic news this morning is about Arne Engels, and the question it raises is a significant one. With Sunderland now making a formal inquiry and clubs across England and Europe lining up to test Celtic's resolve, the conversation is no longer about whether interest exists. It is about how long Celtic can hold the line. Engels himself has not spoken publicly about his future. His contract runs for 2 more years, but the volume of interest around him, combined with the fact that the window opens Monday, means this situation will develop very quickly over the coming days. Celtic's position should be straightforward. They rejected £25 million in January while a title race was live. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.